Hey YouTube, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're jumping back into Animal Crossing because Nintendo have just confirmed some super exciting details regarding the Nintendo Switch 2 that suggests we could see a new version of Animal Crossing New Horizons specifically for the Nintendo Switch 2 in the near future. So if you're a fan of Animal Crossing and excited to hear the latest Nintendo news, be sure to leave a like. It's a great way to support the channel, and let's jump straight in. Now, there's been many rumours recently that when the Nintendo Switch 2 finally releases, a bunch of Nintendo Switch 1 games could receive some kind of enhanced patch or be completely re-released as a Nintendo Switch 2 version, essentially to incorporate performance bumps and maybe even with new content or features to make use of new hardware. I guess you could compare it to how Nintendo re-released Switch Deluxe editions of, say, Mario Kart 8 or Pikmin 3 that originally released on the Wii U, or even Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze or Super Mario 3D World. The list goes on. In fact, there's been a whole bunch of Nintendo titles that have had this treatment. Anyway, in the past, I've suggested that Animal Crossing New Horizons could see a similar thing and theorized that there may be a chance we receive some kind of Animal Crossing New Horizons Deluxe version on the Nintendo Switch 2 when it launches. My thoughts behind this are that just like several other games, New Horizons could benefit from a performance boost to essentially improve loading times, which, let's face it, are terrible in Animal Crossing, especially on OG Switches, and of course reduce lag on heavily built up and decorated islands. You get the idea. Well, it turns out that the idea of enhanced Nintendo Switch 2 versions of Nintendo Switch 1 games are no longer a rumour and very much a reality, and have even been confirmed directly by Nintendo. Last week, Nintendo streamed a dedicated Nintendo Switch Direct and announced a brand new feature called Virtual Game Cards that will release in April. It's a whole thing, but in short, allows Switch owners to easily transfer their digital games to other Switches, including Nintendo Switch 2s, as well as to family and friends consoles, and loan out their digital library of games. It's a pretty neat idea. Anyway, on the Virtual Game Cards webpage on Nintendo's website, they've included some small print that reads, and I quote, "Compatible systems must be linked to a Nintendo account to use virtual game cards. Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games and Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games can only be loaded onto a Nintendo Switch 2 system." And goes on to highlight a few more details surrounding the transferring of digital games between systems. Obviously, the keywords here that have everyone excited are Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games, which confirms Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Nintendo Switch 1 games. So Nintendo Switch 2 versions of Nintendo Switch 1 games are absolutely a thing. This is huge, and whether it's a coincidence 100% confirms past rumours are true, and that at some point, whether it's at the launch or later down the road, there will be new versions of current Nintendo Switch 1 games re-released for the Nintendo Switch 2. And in case it's not clear, the small print here is reiterating that the Nintendo Switch 2 versions of these Nintendo Switch 1 games won't be able to be transferred to Nintendo Switch 1 consoles using the virtual game cards because they are of course now Switch 2 editions and thus not compatible. That's quite a long-winded explanation, but hopefully you get the idea. Anyway, circling back around to Animal Crossing New Horizons, and my brain is going into overdrive because what better Switch 1 game to get an enhanced patch and re-release on the Nintendo Switch 2 than the second best selling Nintendo Switch 1 game of all time, Animal Crossing New Horizons. If nothing else, it would be fantastic for marketing and tempt over 40 million New Horizons owners and players to upgrade. Now, it's confirmed that Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Nintendo Switch 1 games will be a thing, but I am of course speculating about New Horizons, but it would just make sense. And not only could an enhanced version of New Horizons improve those awful loading times and reduce lag, but the Nintendo Switch 2 is said to be packed with new hardware and new features, such as built-in mics and of course the awesome looking mouse Joy-Con. So it's completely feasible that Nintendo would add content to a deluxe version of New Horizons if that's what they were planning, and make use of this new hardware. Now I won't go into too much detail because it's very speculative and outside of the scope of this video, but mics could improve in-game chat or even allow for past tools to return to the game, which is something we've covered in previous videos. And who knows, maybe making custom patterns using a mouse is 100% easier. Again, I'm sure you get the idea. Anyway, we don't have long to wait until we find out, because in 2 days time, Nintendo are scheduled to stream the first ever dedicated Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, which will of course give us everything we need to know, including all the details about the Nintendo Switch 2 and what these mouse-like Joy-Cons actually are, new features and hardware that the Nintendo Switch 2 will offer, and hopefully some information about new games, or as it may turn out, enhanced versions of existing games. The Nintendo Switch 2 Direct will stream on April 2nd, so not long to wait at all, and by then, we'll know so much more. Be sure to post edition in the comments if you made it to this point in the video, and be sure to include what you think about Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Nintendo Switch 1 games. Would you like to see a new edition of Animal Crossing New Horizons? What other games would you hope to see re-released? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much to the Patreon and channel members for supporting this content. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.